Good evening, viewers, and thank you for joining us tonight on Hotspot. Tonight's lineup, we have a lot of rugby league. First of all, the Pacific Assurance Group will be conducting a Footy Legends clinic here in Port Moresby. Some of you will have the chance to rub shoulders and train with legends such as Gordon Tallis, immortal Andrew Johns, as well as our very own expert David Mead, still on rugby league following the hype of the PM's 13 and our Kumus loss to the Kangaroos. Could the result be different if a national coach was appointed to lead our boys? In snooker, the Port Moresby Billiards and Snooker Association launched the 7th Handicap Challenge here in Port Moresby. But first, Jeremy joins us tonight with an update on the Barramundis South Australian Cricket Association campaign as well as the OFC Nations Cup. Jeremy, thank you for your company. First of all, how are our Barramundis going in their soccer campaign?
Yeah, the Digital Barramundis suffered their second loss to the Western Grit in a two-day match over the weekend. The Western Grit had actually declared after 80 overs with 4 for 388 before the Barramundis stepped up to bowl. But they'd actually lost the match at the end of it by 129 runs. Now, Coach Deepak Patel has said that the boys need a little bit more experience, especially in terms of reaching higher scores. He says the team's actually very capable of hitting those big targets, but they just need to focus a little bit more on getting the little things right, especially movement off the ball, attacking the ball as well.
And our boys have suffered their second loss against Western Grit over the weekend. How are their preparations going for their match this coming weekend?
Yeah, Digital PNG Barramundis captain Chris Amini, who was batting at number 7, he'd actually put on 48 runs, moderate total. His batting partner John Bogereva also put on 47, and they had a combined total of 101 runs, which actually to an extent steadied the ship. Now, I think the team will come back with their heads held high. They've got one more match that's happening this weekend against the Northern Mavericks, and as of yesterday I checked my Twitter account, and the team had been focusing primarily on batting and bowling, specifically batting, trying to get out the better score lines against their far more experienced opponents. So we'll probably just wait and see what happens after the game against the Northern Mavericks over the weekend.
And moving away from cricket, Jeremy, we head straight into soccer. What are your thoughts on the OFC Nations Cup?
Yeah, the OFC Nations Cup. The PNG women, our national women's soccer team will be there. I encourage a lot of, if you're around in Lae, pop around and support them. The team's actually been doing really, really well. They've had a couple of great wins on the trot. They travelled last month down to Australia along the Gold Coast. Had a couple of massive victories actually. There was a 9-0 scoreline, defeated a couple of other teams. There was also that 2-0 win against Currumbin Beachside, I think. I can't really remember what the name of the team was. And also, the PNG women's team are the defending champions in the Pacific. And with the games coming up, the Nations Cup will be valuable experience for them, especially in that lead up. The biggest threat that they will have, the biggest threat that they've always had will most likely be New Zealand. In terms of development throughout the Pacific itself, I think Samoa could also pose a threat, but the Melanesian countries, their standard of football, especially women's football, is not the same that it is for women here in the country. In saying that, however, I did have a chat with a Vice President, Linda Wonuhalu. This was earlier in the year for the NSL, and she's actually very enthusiastic about the chances of the women, but still feels that they need a lot more support. Currently, right now, a lot of the funding is going for youth development and also for the academies, and also to the men, especially in the National Soccer League. But if you think about it, it's actually been the women that have been having a better performance Not taking anything away from the men. The thing about the men's national team is they just haven't had that many international matches played overseas. So, but the women, yeah, it's going to be a big event for them, the Nations Cup next week. I think they're prepared as well, and they've used a couple of players from the recent under 20 OFC qualifiers that will be part of that team.
And thank you very much, Jeremy, for your company. We'll head out for our first break for tonight. Up next, we have more on Rugby League.
Shake that.
Welcome back to Hotspot. Now to Rugby League. After the hype of the PM's 13, there has been speculation of some very passionate Rugby League supporters and fans have been very vocal that would the result be different for our Kumals if a national is appointed as head coach to lead our boys.
Pora. And there's a big strong run by Minoga. William Minoga, he's over.
Coach for the SB Hunters in the 2014 Super Interest Cup, coach of the Agma Couriers in 2012, leading the team to success in the year 2012 and 2013, PNG NRL Premiership winning player in 2001, 2003 and 2005, PNG Kumals assistant coach from 2007 to 2013, Michael Marum reigns as one of PNG's most successful rugby league coaches. Born on the 8th of October 1973 and now 41 years of age with an ARL Level 2 senior club coach qualification, Marum led the SB Hunters in their inaugural year of the Super Interest Cup to one of the greatest rugby league success of all time in Papua New Guinea.
That's away. He wants to go to Gary again. Gary Lowe for a hat trick. And Gary gets over.
To Michael Murram, the coach, you're also a champion. And for you to be there time in, time out, training the boys, looking after the boys, taking away from your family, and dedicating your life for the last 12 months to the SB Hunters, thank you. Well done, Michael Murram.
Marum coached the team to 12 undefeated games at PNG's rugby league graveyard, the Colorbond Oval in Kokopo, losing grip in the remaining matches, leaving the SB PNG Hunters to finish at 6th place, which by all means a great achievement in itself for their pilot year. Bringing the best out of players like Willie Minoga, PNG Rugby League's freight train, Gary Lowe and Israel Eliab, Marum certainly earned his spot at the top. Following the Couriers winning Supreme in 2012 and 2013, founder of the Ipatas Cup and governor for the Yangon province, Peter Ipatas, said Marum was the man to lead the Kumals into the World Cup and bring PNG Rugby League to another level. With the leadership and guidance of past coaches Adrian Lam and Stanley Jean at the 2008 World Cup and 2010 Four Nations, and recently Mal Meninga as head coach of the PNG Kumals, the 2014 Prime Minister's 13, some would say Marum is fully equipped to lead the team at such extravagant rugby league matches. Following the team's rather devastating loss to the Australian PM's 13 side, 34 points to 16, Marum commended the boys on putting up a fight and in contrast are preparing for another tough encounter against Tonga in Lae next week.
I think we cannot ask for more from the players. I think it is playing against the best team in the world. I think the Kangaroos are that team, even though they've got most of their senior players not in it, but they play all similar games. So yeah, they can't ask for more, but areas in the game that we probably need to work on. We got a lot of positives out of it. we're going back to Ley now for the test match, and players have been given a fair chance to impress. So we'll leave with 18 players on Thursday to Ley for the test match against Tonga.
And as mentioned earlier, Pacifica Assurance Group will be conducting a Footy Legends Clinic right here in Port Moresby. Some of you will have the opportunity to train alongside Gordon Tallis, Andrew Johns, and David Mead. Pacific Assurance Group Regional Development Director Johnson Tia said the company was thrilled to have the legends in town for the VIP launch of their new brand identity and wanted to share them with youngsters.
Papua New Guinea being a rugby league nation and having everybody for a rugby league, we thought that it would be important and appropriate for us to bring in rugby league players like Gordon Tallis and David Mead, whose father would basically had to go backwards to look after him for the last in the last 5-6 years with these medical conditions that he's had, and we've got a long history, a rich history with the family. And
Chief Operating Officer Jeff Frost said the company was committed to the community, and by putting on the footy clinic with the legends would give everyday school children the chance to experience something memorable.
We thought rather than just bring them up and have them sit at a function for VIPs, we should do a little bit more for the community. The company's PNG owned and predominantly staffed. So we thought, one way we can do things with these guys, and they're all obviously legends, Andrew of course immortal, was to offer some clinics, or a clinic, on the afternoon.
He called on high school principals, school team coaches, and even weekend junior competition coaches to nominate the youngsters to participate in the clinic.
We've asked for school principals, school coaches in the Port Moresby area and general junior coaches of weekend teams to nominate up to about 3 children. We're predominantly aiming this at under 18s. It's open to boys and girls, good players, wannabes, average players. It's anyone who wants to come along.
All this information must be sent to glenn@umm.com.au before October 26th, and all selected children will be notified the next day to prepare for this once-in-a-lifetime experience with Rugby League immortal Andrew Johns, Queensland legend Gordon Tallis, and PNG Kumul champion David Mead. And nominations are now open, so get your fingers working and get yourself nominated. Stay tuned, as after the break we have the 7th Handicap Snooker Challenge.
You like this? You're over my head, I'm out of my mind, thinking I was cool in the wrong time. One of a kind, living in a world gone plastic. Baby, you're so classic.
If you've just joined us, you're watching Hotspot. The Port Moresby Snooker and Billiards Association launched the 7th Pacific MMI Snooker Handicap Challenge here in Port Moresby. Now, the Handicap Challenge allows players from all grades to compete with each other on an even playing field.
The Port Moresby Billiards and Snooker Association launched the 7th Pacific MMI Handicap Snooker Challenge in Port Moresby this week. The sponsorship gives light to the company's philosophy of supporting people in performing to the best of their ability.
We as a company try and support our people in all their endeavours and to achieve their personal best. And with this corporate challenge, this is another one of the milestones that we're hoping to go through that will achieve that. So I thank you all for coming on the day. What shouldn't be forgotten is the work that's done behind the scenes to get these sort of tournaments put together. The POM Snooker and Billiards Association work very, very hard to get these tournaments up and running and to improve the standard of snooker and billiards throughout PNG so that we're competitive offshore. This handicap arrangement allows C and Bs to play against the A graders and lift them from their current ranking. Sometimes it turns out to be good, and some people, like our champion from last year, get regraded very quickly, so he might find it a little bit harder to win this year. But it's not to forget the work that's done by the people behind the scenes to have this tournament up to the status that it is. Running it's quite laborious, so we appreciate all the refs and everybody that get involved with it, and the players will appreciate a professionally run tournament, especially at this level. It will strengthen them and hopefully move a lot of people to a higher level in the sport. So we wish them all the best and hope that we have a good comp.
The Handicap Challenge lets players from all grades to rub shoulders and compete on an even field. Most players that start off play with a handicap of 60. In a year, the more matches you play and the challenges that a player participates in reduces your handicap. Over the years, the Handicap Challenge has sparked growing interest among players and have given a chance for players with low handicaps to gain some points against higher graded players.
And we've had B grade or B graders win it, and sometimes we get the A graders there occasionally, but with the handicap it evens it out, and it's probably the hardest fought tournament we have. We get a lot of interest in it. Unfortunately, because of time and space and tables available, we've had to restrict it to 56 players this year, whereas normally it's 64 and it's usually oversubscribed. So first in, paid up, gets in, right? We're wanting all people to have all their registrations paid up by Friday night, so that if we are short, we've got the weekend to chase up a few people. It starts on the Monday the 20th and goes through for 2 weeks. We're playing this at the Aviat Club in the Dragon's Den. Dragon's Den has now been extended to 3 tables, which gives us a little bit more leeway. But we thank them for the use of their facilities. Also like to thank gold sponsors Lamana Hotel, Graffiti Signs, the National for silver sponsor, and Nationwide Loss Adjusters for bronze. We're still looking for further sponsors for it.
Defending champion Polia Pokanau won his title last year, starting off with a handicap of 10. Confident in retaining his title this year, Pokanau heads into the challenge with a handicap of 0 and expects tough competition from his competitors.
Kind of challenging right now because I have to make sure that I win the title again, and it's not going to be easy. Because it's an handicap comp, the committees have decided to slash my handicap down to 0 now, so it's going to be extremely hard, but I'll try my best.
What do you think is going to give you I mean, it's open, anybody can win it, but what do you think is going to give you a bit of a run for your title?
I think it's the competition is going to come from particularly the big grades. There are some top big graders that they're playing so well. That's the one that I would see some of us in the A grade going to have a bit of hard time trying to match them. But the A graders, we will play against each other. If I play Dujon, it gives me 20 start. So to me, that's a bit good start for me.
Nominations are now open for the first 56 players to register. Forms can be collected from the Aviat Club, 6 Mile Den and Car Club, or email Nelson Chennai on nilo.chennai@gmail.com or Jonathan Kavanagh on jkavanagh16@gmail.com. 150 kina will secure you a spot in the challenge, and registration closes on Sunday, October 19th.
All interested players are urged to register, as only 56 spots are available for this year's challenge. We'll head off our final break for tonight. Up next, we'll wrap up the show with our weekend draws.
Yes, sir. You best believe. Now, man. Yeah.
Time has caught up with us. Just a reminder that if you'd like us to feature your sports story or have us train with you, please shoot us an email at sports@emtv.com.pg. A lot of you are on Facebook, so check us out on our page. And if you're in Port Moresby, drop by to 2nd floor Garden City and ask for a very vibrant sports team. Now let's take a look at our weekend draws.
The 2014 PNG Media Pool Competition will see match number 1 Cool Graphics take on next of kin in the qualifying final. In the second and third matches, Spin Doctors will go up against Niktosh and Lamana will take on Poinangu in qualifying final number 2, with the winners to advance to the elimination finals. Corporate 9's Rugby League will be held at the Port Moresby National High School on Sunday. The first match will see Deloitte take on Puma Energy, with Property PNG taking on GFI, and NCDC go up against EFM in the 140 match. And finally, on Saturday we'll see the Fairfax Volleyball Association Grand Final.
Another big sporting weekend around the country in Leh. If you're in Leh, head on down to the Leh Rugby League Oval and support our Kumus who will be facing the Tongans this weekend. A big shout out to the Nova, Juggernauts and Defence clubs who are doing their off-season preparations for next year's Capital Rugby Union season. Until next week, play hard, play safe, and we'll catch you right here on Hotspot.
Hey, I'm Scholar. Follow me on Twitter at ScholarSangi for all your latest updates on AFL, kickboxing, all the extreme sports, plus judo and snooker.
Hi guys, I'm Lorraine. Follow me on Twitter at Lorraine Genia for all your rugby, powerlifting and game fishing updates, as well as updates from the PNG games. And Scholar and I actually do take a lot of selfies with Tura, so that'll be really exciting for you guys. Yeah, follow me.
Hey everybody, follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Moggy. Join me as I cover my favorite sports: soccer, taekwondo, hockey, volleyball, which is not on that list.